clarification or verification. It is so far believed to be inconsistent with the spirit and the letter of our agreements. According to experts, there are 4,356 nuclear warheads of all types in Ukraine. The agreement reached in Minsk provides that Ukraine will get rid of all its nuclear weapons. As President Kravchuk said, by July 1st, 1992, all tactical nuclear weapons will be removed from Ukraine and all strategic nuclear weapons by 1994. According to him, nuclear weaponry should be taken out of the Republic with the goal of its subsequent destruction. Ukraine emphasizes that it is not being disarmed, but is disarming itself and has the right to participate in international negotiations on nuclear weapons on an equal level with Russia. The curfew in Tbilisi has been extended until April 1st, and although the city is relatively calm, the war is not forgotten. Guardsmen are bringing new weapons into the capital, including today a 35mm cannon, 4 Alazan rockets, and a large caliber machine gun. There is alarming news from Zugdidi about an armed attack on the police station in which 6 policemen were killed. A hotel has been blown up and 17 cadets have been taken hostage. The State Council of Georgia does not conceal its concern about this. They are here discussing the new crimes. A helicopter carrying 32 passengers was shot and forced to land in Zugdidi. 4 guardsmen being held prisoner were released today. Zugdidi is besieged and in total isolation. We need both administrative measures in order to restore basic order. But this is not the main thing. The main thing now is political dialogue with the population, with the activists. This, as you know, is a unique area populated by very interesting and good people. A group is coming today from Zugdidi, and I am certain that peace is possible only through the use of political means. Over 70 deputies of the practically non-existent Georgian Supreme Soviet gathered in the Chechen capital of Grozny today, according to Itar TASS. They adopted an appeal to the Georgian people and foreign leaders, and also a decree on the actions of the current leadership in Georgia, which they call a military junta. In Daugavpils today, there were negotiations between the delegations of Russia and Chechnya. We remind you that Chechnya insists that Russia recognize its independence. Last night there was another conflict in Pridnestrov. Moldovan police stopped a car containing National Guardsmen from Pridnestrov. In the shooting, 1 Moldovan policeman and 1 of the guardsmen were killed. Romanian Foreign Minister Nastasi met today with Russian Foreign Minister Kozyrev. The ministers discussed relations between Russia and Romania and also relations with other CIS countries. Kozyrev positively evaluated Romania's good relations with Moldova and supported the sovereignty of Moldova and political solutions to the problems there. They called on all leaders to maintain restraint and to resolve their conflicts by peaceful means. Today, the Romanian meter was received by Russian Vice President Alexander Rudskoy. The respect of human rights and liberties and the legal interests of the citizens of the Russian Federation would be guaranteed by a law adopted today by the Russian Supreme Soviet on search and seizure. The deputies adopted certain amendments to the criminal and civil codes, which would simplify the court procedures and increase their efficiency. The difficult and sometimes heated discussion continued for over an hour. The deputy commander of the army of the CIS, Pinkol, answered Mr. Andronov's question on the situation in Nagorno-Karabakh, on the withdrawal of border units from Azerbaijan and Armenia, and the situation in Pridnestrov. The Supreme Soviet observed the memory of those who died in the Transcaucasus and expressed its sympathy to their family and friends. Senior Lieutenant of the CIS Army, Andrei Misyachuk, died last night on the Azeri-Armenian border. Azerbaijani troops fired on the Armenian village of Agipar in order to neutralize Armenian forces there. The presence of 2 CIS Army armored personnel carriers, one of which was carrying Lieutenant Misyachuk, was explained by the commanders of the CIS Army as an effort to help the peaceful population. The CIS Army Command decided today to remove all remaining army barriers on the Armenian-Azerbaijani border. Turkish Prime Minister Demirel says that the temporary ceasefire has been achieved by Armenian and Azerbaijani sides in Nagorno-Karabakh. Demirel made this announcement to a press conference after a special session of the Cabinet of Ministers of Turkey held to discuss the situation in Karabakh. He expressed his hope that the ceasefire would become permanent, but the conditions for the permanent ceasefire are not yet known. The problem of Nagorno-Karabakh is leaving the limits of our Commonwealth and is becoming an international problem. One more piece of evidence about this is the special session of the official representatives of the members of the Council on Security and Cooperation in Europe. It was held today in the Finnish capital. The meeting was closed, but correspondents, although they were not allowed to attend, managed to find out the main approach and directions of the work. The Finnish foreign minister gave an interview today. He said it's too early to consider peacekeeping activities there since the hostilities are continuing and political solutions are not yet at hand. Therefore, we must now concentrate our opinion and forces on achieving a ceasefire and the achievement of a political solution. Today, Ruslan Khasbolatov met with the deputy chairman of the Socialist International, Hans-Jochen Vogel, who arrived in Moscow at the end of a trip around the 12 republics of the former Soviet Union. In his discussion, Vogel said that the problems before the former Soviet Union are more complex than he expected before his trip. Ruslan Khasbolatov showed the guest the results of the economic reform in Russia and expressed his desire for continued cooperation with the Socialist International, which has made large contributions to the development of democracy and Europe. Russian Vice Premier Shokhin is in Kuzbas for negotiations with the miners' unions there. He decided to go to Novokuznetsk today to meet with workers and local deputies. The trip was an attempt to reach agreement with the Union Strike Committee, but agreement was reached only among the members of the three-way committee themselves. They adopted an interim protocol promising to take responsibility for proposing to the government a mechanism to resolve the problems. But Vice Premier Shokhin said in Novokuznetsk today that the government does not intend to free prices on coal and is also considering social protection measures for the miners. The meeting of the three-way commission in Novokuznetsk and Kemerovo was held with the participation of the coordinating council of the strike committees. The Kuzbas could become a testing ground in these difficult spring times in March and April to bring calm to the strike movement to prevent the rising of a new communist movement. The main task of the authorities in the capital is to provide the technical capability to ensure peace in the March 17th opposition meeting in Moscow. The February meeting shows that the communist forces need victims in order to pursue their struggle, but the Moscow City Council is taking measures to prevent bloodshed. Our position on the Congress is consistent with the position of the Presidium of the Russian Supreme Soviet. Over a year ago, the Moscow City Council adopted a decision on the priorities of our activities and the priority of Russian laws here. In accordance with this decision, we are working now. In terms of this Congress, the situation is relatively tense, but I would not like to dramatize the situation or cause some kind of hysteria. I believe it would be that the organs of authority should act in a balanced and wise way in this complex situation. There are proposals by the deputies of the Moscow City Council and the deputies of various regional councils to create a human chain between those who come to the meeting and the representatives of law enforcement agencies. The main goal here is that not a single Muscovite suffers even to the smallest extent in the situation that could arise here. And I believe that any measures, even those which seem superficial, should be taken. West Germany has become the 28th country which has established official diplomatic relations with our republic. And Belarusia has been recognized by over 80 foreign countries. The Supreme Soviet Chairman Shuchkevich said that Hans-Dietrich Genscher's name is well known here as a popular diplomat. They had bilateral negotiations today on developing cultural relations and cooperation in other areas. Afterwards, Genscher met with Prime Minister Kevich. Today, NATO General Secretary Manfred Werner arrived in Riga. He intends to visit all three Baltic republics. The Latvian leadership wants to bring NATO into a mediation role on the process of the